Please have seats. It is a great pleasure to welcome my partner and friend, Prime Minister Renzi, to the White House. I actually should say welcome back. Not many people know this, but Matteo came to the White House several years ago. He back then was the young, dynamic mayor of Florence. Today he's the young, dynamic Prime Minister of Italy. But even then, I think people recognize that he brought an energy and a sense of vision to where he wanted to see his country go. And today is an opportunity for me to return the incredible hospitality of Matteo and the Italian people showed me last year in Rome, one of the great cities of the world. Italy, of course, is one of our closest and strongest allies. And anytime Italians and Americans get together, it's also a chance to celebrate the deep bonds of history and friendship and family. As I've said before, I'm not lucky enough to have any Italian ancestry that I know of. But I consider myself an honorary Italian because I love all things Italian. And the United States would not be what we are or who we are without the contributions of generations of Italian Americans. In Rome last year, Matteo spoke eloquently of his visits to the American military cemetery in Florence. And that's a reminder of how Italians and Americans have made extraordinary sacrifices for the freedom that we cherish. I'm also grateful for my partnership personally with Prime Minister Renzi. We've worked together on several occasions from Rome to our NATO, G7, and G20 summits. I know he is deeply committed to our alliance. Moreover, I've been very impressed with the energy and the vision and the reforms that he is pursuing to unleash the potential of the Italian people and the Italian economy. His willingness to challenge the status quo and to look to the future has made him a leading voice in Europe, and we're already seeing progress being made with respect to Italy. So, Matteo, I want to thank you again for the seriousness and sense of purpose that you bring to our work together here today. This morning, we focused on our shared security, starting in Europe. We agreed that the international community needs to continue supporting Ukraine with robust assistance as it pursues economic and political reforms. Along with our international partners, we strongly support the Minsk agreements, and we agree that both Russia and the Ukraine must fulfill all the obligations under these agreements. I thank the Prime Minister of Italy's strong support for the international coalition against ISIL. Italy, by the way, is one of the largest contributors of advisors and trainers to help build up Iraqi security forces, and Italy is leading the effort to ensure the area is liberated from ISIL's control or stabilized with an effective civilian police force. We also spent a considerable amount of time discussing our deep shared concern for the situation in Libya, where we continue to support UN efforts to form a unity government. Given Italy's leadership role across the Mediterranean, the Prime Minister and I agreed to work together even more intensively to encourage cooperation on threats coming from Libya, including the growing ISIL presence there, as well as additional coordination with other partners in how we can stabilize what has become a very deadly and difficult situation. More broadly, Italian forces continue to play a vital role from Kosovo to Lebanon to Afghanistan. The coalition forces continue to train and assist Afghan forces, and we want to make sure we transition responsibly as we complete our consolidation by the end of next year. I updated Prime Minister Renzi on the framework that we reached with Iran, our progress towards a comprehensive deal that prevents Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, and we agreed that until any final deal is reached, sanctions on Iran must continue to be fully and strictly enforced. So that's what we talked about this morning. After the press conference, we'll have lunch, and that'll give us a chance to focus on what is clearly the top priority of both our peoples, and that is creating a strong, inclusive economy that is creating jobs and opportunity on both sides of the Atlantic. Like me, Prime Minister Renzi is a strong supporter of TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, which includes both jobs and exports in Europe and the United States, and would include strong protection for the workers, public health and safety, and the environment. Now that Congress is considering important bipartisan legislation for trade promotion authority, TTIP negotiations need to make major progress this year. I'm looking forward to hearing the Prime Minister's assessment of the ambitious economic reforms that he's pursuing to make Italy more competitive and reinvigorate the Italian economy as a source of growth in Europe. We'll be discussing Europe's effort to find paths that builds on recent reforms to return Greece to growth within the Eurozone. And we'll be discussing the importance of all our major economies taking ambitious action on climate change. During its presidency of the EU, Italy showed real leadership as Europe committed to new targets for reducing emissions. My work with Prime Minister Renzi today is part of our continuing effort to forge a strong climate agreement in Paris this year. And finally, I want to congratulate Italy and the people of Milan as they prepare to host the 2015 World Expo. The focus is on food, something that Italy knows something about, along with wine. But the Expo and our U.S. pavilion is focused not only on outstanding cuisine like Italy's, but also how we feed a growing planet, how we combat hunger and malnutrition, how we put healthy food on our tables. And that's a cause, obviously, that's very close to Michelle's heart. So we commend Italy's leadership, and I suspect many Americans will be visiting Milan and sampling the food and sampling the wine. Matteo, grazie for your leadership in Italy and Europe, for your partnership on many pressing global issues. I assure you that it is a friendship and partnership that all Americans pledge